Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back, everybody. Paula's joining me today. Yay!
Hello, hello. How are you,
I'm
gorgeous? It's
good.
been a
How are
while since
you?
I've seen you.
I know. So I've been missing for about a month now. And yeah, I've just gone incognito, so I'm back. But yeah, it's great to be back. And thank you for joining me. I know we're
Thanks
a
for
bit early
joining.
tonight, but so there might not be as many people in the live, but that's fine.
That's
I'm
okay.
sure
They'll
people
catch
can
up. I'm
catch
sure
up.
they'll catch up.
Um, oh, hello. So Appalachian Rising. She's a lady that has joined me before for a podcast
Ooh,
about her life being poisoned by her wife, which was
ooh.
for years, and it's very similar to that of the Diddy case, where lots of people claim to have had pneumonia or died of pneumonia around Diddy, and there's a kind of a link between that and the poisoning that Cassie had as well. So she's spoken about that a few times, which has been quite interesting. So yeah, she's going to be coming on a bit later as well. And Nikki's here, Michelle. So how have you been, Paula?
I've been well. Thank you. Thank you for asking, sweetie. Been missing you a little bit.
I know, I missed you too. Well, I feel
Mhm.
like I needed the break, and I needed the 18 days in Florida. Done me
Ooh,
the world of good. But it's so hard coming back and just living normal life again. Because it's cold here,
yeah.
that's the problem. So the news of Meghan Markle. I thought we'd go back into the Meghan Markle stuff
Oh,
because
yeah.
and her Thanksgiving shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
What actually happened there? Because I heard that he was playing the guitar, and
No,
not that
no,
I
no, no,
thought
no.
he
There
could
were no
play the
guitars in
guitar.
Montecito. It is so interesting. It is so interesting because Meghan Markle, that usually Thanksgiving, everybody takes it for granted that you're with your family, right? You don't need to make an announcement of that. So watch my surprise when I see Kinsey Schofield, whom I adore, go and interrupt her turkey dinner or whatever to do a live because a source had said that Harry is in Montecito. People had to know that Harry was in Montecito. And I'm like, why is this so important? Because it never happens. Because why does Megan want people to know? And and according to the very same sources, or similar sources, they say that they didn't even stay for the fight because Harry found out that the information that he was at the mansion had been leaked, and he was there to see Cheshire. I know Cheshire. I love Cheshire. Um, um, the information was leaked that he was in Montecito. So, I mean, it is only so long Megan can keep blaming the media because this information really could have only come up from her camp. So, Harry apparently didn't even stay to finish dinner. He just left. And the funny thing is that the same sources who say, oh, Harry is in Montecito, it's important for the world to know that Harry is in Montecito with Megan. But they don't say the rest, do they?
I mean, they've divorced each other through work joint ventures. They've decided now not to work together and do their own thing. I mean, is that an omen for the future? Because they were meant to be like a solid team, and now they're doing their separate ventures. We've got, Netflix apparently are backing off from Megan. She's got no one to contact via Hollywood, and my sources reveal everybody's shunning her. I mean, every which
Well,
way
well,
she's
listen,
go for
listen.
it. Tell me, go for it.
I did an interview with NT 2 days ago. It's
Mm.
actually quite juicy. And he revealed that Megan is doing the party circuit in San Vicente and out in Beverly Hills. She's spending most of the nights out, but at about this past week, she was in San Vicente Ranch, which is like a club. San Vicente Club is only a members club, right? Uh, and she was partying there with some friends, and this ultra A-list actor was there too. And of course, she made a beeline for him. And once she ran into the guy, he was being very polite. He didn't tell me the name, but I kind of think it was either Tom Cruise, Kevin Costner or Leonardo DiCaprio, but she made a beeline for the guys because, only A-listers are in that club. Oprah is the one who nominated because you can't even buy the membership. You have to be nominated or referred by an existing member. And even then, they will think about it. Okay. So Oprah referred Harry and Meghan. And of course, because of Harry's title, they said yes. If you go there, apparently Meghan Markle spends a lot of time in those clubs hoping to run into A-listers. And she did run into an A-lister, I believe it was last Tuesday, and Tuesday or Wednesday. And the guy was just being polite. I mean, this guy has a lot of money. And she was hugging him like we know how she likes to vagine hug everybody, like crotch to crotch, like it is. And this is what Auntie and I were talking because you know that this coming week, Meghan Markle is going to be with Tyler Perry, and then Harry's going to be in New York.
Okay.
And guess what? The event that Meghan Markle is going to this is an event to basically kiss ass to Tyler Perry to tell him how great he is. But the thing is that even though Prince Harry and Meghan were both supposed to be hosting or being they're part of the committee and they were supposed to both be there, Harry bailed out. And I mean, it has George Lucas, who is not really an A-lister, he's the guy from Star Wars, but you would not think of George Lucas as an A-lister, Gail King, not even Oprah, but I'm sure Oprah's going to pop up somewhere who are going to honor him. And, I'm pretty sure Meghan is going to be the first speech because, usually put the least important people speak first. And then as the night progresses, the more important people come up. So there are tickets available. It's $2,000 for this per person, right? And they had full tables for sale. They haven't filled, and this is I think on Wednesday. They haven't been able to sell out anything. Nothing.
I mean, so they've got half of the place filled out. They've got half of the place filled out.
And that's because Tyler Perry bought some of the tickets for his friends.
So this is a joint collab between him and Meghan, yeah?
No.
No, it's okay.
This is the Paley Institute that they do these things for celebs, right? And then
Okay.
Tyler Perry gets to invite people to come and speak nicely. It's just a kiss ass thing too.
So
and the thing, a lot of people don't want to be talking to Tyler because of the Diddy thing. So everybody's really careful about praising anybody right now that was associated to Diddy. And I think that is why Harry's keeping his distance.
Oh, it's difficult for them because most of Hollywood is connected to Diddy. So it's very difficult to disassociate yourself if that's where you want to climb up in the world of a celebrity. They're all kind of hiding away, not really saying anything. Nobody's spoken out on social media about the Diddy stuff, saying they condemn it. They've all kept very quiet. Even Beyonce has lost millions of followers and she's not said one thing about it, which is interesting. Why she's not come out and had her voice and said something. I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, they're all one of the things that I talked to Auntie, and also because I saw this lawyer who was actually at the bail hearing, the last one, right? He was talking and he said that from his point of view, and please people understand, because some people went, oh, Paul is advocating for Diddy to get out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, but this is what people were saying. And even people who were there, they said that other than Cassie, they haven't really shown anything. And that the guns that everybody's talking about, the guns, the judge dismissed the guns because apparently Diddy said, yeah, I have them for protection. And so the judge, he didn't have the guns included. You know how they seized a bunch of guns?
Yeah.
The judge threw that out, said, no, that's not, because apparently he had permits and stuff for the guns.
I mean, most people in America that own a gun, if they're well established, don't they have legitimate permits for guns anyway? I mean, that's kind of neither here nor there. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so and then they were talking that the only thing they have is Cassie. Because then
Mm.
this thing on YouTube, all these people coming out and talking on YouTube. I mean, Lamisha was apparently, which I were right, they did a live, and apparently, Lamisha was told, it was found out that she was lying. Thank you, Casa Bear. That she was lying, that she was not the victim. That she was showing these photographs of her on the table. She had gone all over YouTube saying that that was her, and Jawa Wright came back and basically called her out and said that's not you, and she ended up admitting it. So I've told you before that these people were going to do a lot more damage than anything to the Diddy case, because pretty much, if true, none of them are telling the truth, and they're making the case for Diddy, because what they argued and during the bail hearing was like, okay, what else do you have? And they already have discovery, because at the beginning you can get it, but now it's like months into it, they've done discovery, and the only thing apparently that they have is that yes, Diddy did try to get in touch with some of the members of the jury, that they claim, because of the letters that were seized. But other than that, the case itself, they didn't present any evidence at trial, only other than Cassie and those things with that. So, and these people going around saying those things that are not true doesn't help, does it?
Well, it's a lot of added speculation, and I think once the ball gets rolling on someone, the haystack rolls. And I've seen so many podcasts about Diddy now. Some about pastors joining in with um, spiritual warfare. I mean, there is a lot that you have to kind of go through and try to whittle out the truth from the kind of the extravagant exposes. I mean, I do believe though that a lot of these several celebrities did know what was going on and turned a
Oh, I'm
blind eye.
sure. I am
Yeah.
sure, and I'm sure that Harry participated. Um,
Mm. Do you think Meghan was ever involved? Because I know
Oh
we've
yeah,
touched on this
Megan
before.
was
Yeah.
placed Soho House, one of the Soho House, because don't forget that Ron Burkle, who's the owner of Soho, the
Yeah.
majority owner of Soho House,
Mm,
is the godfather to Diddy's children. And Diddy did these parties at Soho House. There was one that Megan was placed at that party when Diddy
mm,
launched his, I don't know if it was his clothing line that he launched, and
mm.
it was in New York, and Megan was there. Megan was very much part of the Soho scene, for sure. She was there. We know that she was in Soho when they opened in Toronto, and then and there was the opening the Imitation Game, and Harvey Weinstein was there, and she was one of the girls there.
So, do you think that there could be a possibility that Meghan, people are turning their back more so on Meghan now because of her connection with Diddy? And if she did sell herself to him,
No, no, no. I don't think she was with Diddy,
well,
but
do you
she
not
was
think she was
around
offered
circles.
a lump sum to do anything?
I don't think that Diddy was pretty much in charge of her or anything like that. I do believe that Epstein or Weinstein were,
Mm,
not
yes,
Diddy.
they were
Remember that
connected. Yeah.
Diddy and Weinstein were very close together, along with Jeffrey Epstein.
Mm,
So, and Meghan
mm,
Markle was a Weinstein girl. She was a Ron Burkle girl. Okay, so
mm,
yeah, but she was around Diddy, absolutely. And she must have seen. Remember that Victoria? No, no. What was the name of that girl? The Virginia Giuffre, when
mm.
she wanted to request Megan as a witness, call her as a witness, subpoena her as a witness, because she said, and this is per her words and her lawyer's words, that Megan was a close associate of Prince Andrew and was around to have either seen stuff, be a witness to it, or be around enough to know that, or participated in it.
I think though within the celebrity culture it runs rampant, this behaviour anyway. I don't think it's an isolated incident. We know that through different arrests throughout the years, but they cherry pick who they want to take down as and when things need to be done. I think it's very well orchestrated. I don't believe that it's all done just haphazardly. I think there's definitely a good reason why it's now Diddy. I think it's people are taking, their turn in the next person to be kind of the stop point and the gap they want to the next enemy, the next person to take down. Do you think that there is going to be any more revelations that are going to come out about Diddy?
Absolutely. But the thing is, I think that all the celebrities are sitting and waiting to see what happens in the trial. I think that all the celebrities are laughing about all these people on YouTube coming out saying the most insane things, but not producing any evidence. And one of the most telling things to me, I don't know about you, is why aren't any of these people who are coming on YouTube going to the prosecutor? Why haven't they been called as witnesses?
Well, this is the thing. Are they scared of him and what he could
No, not
potentially
because they're
do?
coming on YouTube saying that they did this and did that and this and that.
Hmm.
The only one who has turned evidence, from as far as I can tell, is this Courtney guy. But if you look at all these people on YouTube saying he did this, none of them have been called by the prosecution as witnesses, because I don't know if they don't find them reliable, or if the prosecution finds that they're lying and that the stories will be easily torn apart. Because look at, they didn't call Virginia Roberts because Virginia Roberts had so many lies. She wouldn't have made a reliable witness.
Mm.
And in cases like these, you need people that are trustworthy and reliable.
Well, it's a wishy-washy case in a sense that he's got a lot against him, but there is such a pile of different evidence and different
Well, what is the evidence? Okay, I'm
well,
gonna ask you a straight point. What is the evidence other than that video we saw of Cassie and
but
certain, no, certain YouTubers going on saying he did this and that, but not providing any evidence other than Natania Rubens? Tell me what evidence have these
what
people really
the
shown?
the FBI, when they seized materials and objects from his house, it was more so to do with videotapes, and
They haven't been able to decipher. They handed that over to the defense, and there's nothing there. This is what I'm telling you. That the guy he did this video about Diddy. I'm gonna try and find it again, because he said, I was shocked because he said there was absolutely no evidence, like proper evidence. Like,
Okay, so then answer me this then, Paula. Why has he not been granted bail if they do not deem him as a risk? Why is to
oh no, the judge said because they
Yeah.
found some stuff that he had contacted the grand jury.
Yes,
But
yes.
what the lawyer was saying is that he was very surprised that the prosecution hadn't shown anything, because you have to show, and they mostly based it on Cassie. The guns charge is out, which they found all these guns, that is out, gone, done. That's not gonna be brought up. Okay, so that's out. The Cassie thing, they can't prosecute him. This is Auntie was explaining it to me. They can't prosecute him criminally because there's a statute of limitation. So they can't prosecute him criminally for that.
Yes.
So it's going to be very interesting, because I think that all the celebrities know this. All the celebrities have inside
intel. They get the information. Yeah.
All the celebrities have inside information. Diddy was tipped of the raid the day before. This is why he took off with his plane with $60 million and God knows what. And his plane went dark because they have well-placed sources at the FBI and all these places.
I do think there might be a bit more to it. I don't believe that it's just going to be solely on Cassie, because they waited a long time to gather that information and that intel and go through it before they're actually arrested him.
They're supposed to, yeah, but okay, they arrested him on certain thing, but he got his lawyers, and then comes discovery. They have handed a lot of stuff over for discovery. But when you do bail hearings, you have to say, okay, you can't let him go because X, Y, and Z, or this is another what was it, that superseding indictment, which and Enti explained it to me. He said superseding indictment. I mean, I said, what is that? Because, for example, that you can't let him go because we're going to be calling this witness that's going to come and testify to this. They didn't even use that. And he
Mm.
wasn't, because they don't allow cameras, but he's like, I was really surprised there were no superseding indictments or anything like that. So
NT thinks that this isn't going to go anywhere and he's going to
oh
be,
no, Auntie thinks that
yeah,
he's gonna end up in jail for something,
okay.
but not as much as. And I do believe that. Look at, and then you had the prosecutor who quit.
Mm. Well, this is another thing though, but I wonder whether that's because he is in fear of the outcome if he continues to do that and continues to
No, because
prosecute.
right now it's pretty
Be-
big, and I don't think they're gonna be that stupid to kill him or anything like that. You know what I mean?
well, Diddy seems to be able to sort of things that happen around Diddy that don't happen around other people. We've got the pneumonia bouts
Because of the
from
of the people, again, he's
who he
just like
can pay
Meghan
off.
Markle. Diddy
He's
is
at
not powerful. It's the people
oh,
who back him still. Just
well, I
like Meghan
disagree with
Markle
you
has
that.
people who back her. She's a nobody. She's an idiot. She's dumb,
Mm.
delusional, D-list. She doesn't have any talent. And the same thing goes for Diddy. Diddy is just a thug who got lucky and was willing to do anything to rise up. And then he went too far. He pissed too many people off, the wrong people off, and he's in jail. You know?
I do think he
People play a
holds a lot of power. He put a stop to Shine's documentary as well, because Shine was the guy that got arrested for the shooting back when he was with J Lo, if you remember that, and he took the fall for Diddy. And the documentary was due to come out about this whole the whole scenario and how it was nothing to do with him. And Diddy's been able to put a stop to that from being
Well, I
released,
think it
like
was,
he's
I don't know
stopping a
about
lot
that,
of
but
other
apparently
things
there was
coming
an
out.
NDA. There was an NDA involved.
Mm.
There's an NDA involved or something like that. I don't know if
Mm.
Shane was given money in exchange for going to prison, which I think it did happen. I'm not sure. And if that's the case, then he would have signed an NDA. And if he violates that NDA or does his documentary, he would have to pay that money back, which I'm sure he doesn't have.
Mm. But is there not time that's spent on that NDA? Because I'm always curious as to how long that lasts for.
But
What's the
forever,
time?
at an NDA,
Yeah.
you're shut. You're shut.
Hmm. Well, so someone's put this is very laugh. No longer, but Brenda. P did make good music. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I'm
it was
trying to think of
okay.
a PDD song. And what he did is he bought the rights to a lot of good rappers' music, and then
Yes,
when
well, I know he had their catalog. He had Biggie's catalog. He had
yes,
quite a few people's
exactly,
catalog. Yeah,
exactly. And
that's
then
what
if
he
they
made his
wanted to buy
money
it
from.
back, and then if they wanted to get it back, they wanted
Mm.
their rights back, he would say, "Okay, I'll sell it to you, but for an NDA, and you will sign an NDA."
And this is true of Michael Jackson, and this is why the conspiracy theory is around Michael Jackson. He had the biggest music catalogue in the world. It was worth so much money. I think he had the Beatles, a few other artists, and that he was in fear of his
Eminem,
life. He
he bought
spoke to
Eminem's
Janet
rights.
Jackson
He bought
about that.
Eminem. Did you know that Michael Jackson bought Eminem music?
Oh,
Yeah, I
interesting.
didn't know because Eminem dissed him or something like that. And a few years later, Michael Jackson bought the rights to Eminem music, if I'm remembering correctly. So every time Eminem songs were played, Michael Jackson was getting money from it.
Well, this is the thing. Michael Jackson was a very clever businessman, and he knew that if he bought the music catalogs for most people, he'd be in it for the win. But he was spoke to Janet Jackson, and he said to his sister that he was worried about his in fear of his life. He thought people were coming out to get him, because he owned in a lot of other people's heads, he owned quite a substantial amount of hold really in the music industry, and really that's a threat then to some people.
Yeah, it says here,
And
let me tell
there
you,
is
let me tell
a
you.
yeah.
Jackson buys Eminem's rights. Michael Jackson now owns the rights to Eminem's back catalog after his partnership company Sony ATV purchased the publishing company Famous Music for 370 million. Bjork,
Mm.
Shakira, and Beck are also among the many artists whose publishing rights were sold by Viacom. So yeah, sorry about that.
Wow, I did not know that. So Eminem, I mean, has Eminem got his rights back? What's the
Oh
deal?
no, no, he bought the rights for the back music,
Oh,
back
okay,
catalog,
I see.
any new
Okay.
music. Because if he did it under a different studio, then he wouldn't. Yeah.
Very
The thing is
interesting.
that all these celebrities are just sitting down, Victoria, waiting to see what happened because probably uh, the, if what the lawyer said is true, we might see this idiot not be sentenced to something. And I do believe he's a brutal asshole and a jerk, and I'm sure he's a criminal, and he should rot and die in jail. But R. Kelly had more proper witnesses against him than because they
But
haven't. I don't know if you noticed for the bail hearing, they didn't even call a witness to say, I don't want him out because this and this. Nothing, not even the Jane Doe's or anything. No testimonies.
But I do think that this is shrouded in fear, and I do wonder whether there's a level of worry about what could happen to them if because he is known to be quite a threatening guy that follows through with his behaviour. So I do wonder whether a lot of people are scared off and think, well, is it worth going up against the Diddy machine? Because it's also about he had his hands and his pockets were filled with politicians and with elites that are kind of hold a lot of influence, especially in America. So I do wonder whether it's these people are being scared off more than
Well,
anything
Diddy
else.
looks pretty confident. He even wanted a
Mm,
speedy trial. The prosecution didn't want a speedy trial.
mm.
Diddy insisted on having a speedy trial because the prosecution said that they needed more time. Why would they need more time if they're investigating this guy? You would think that when they bring the arrest, they have all their ducks in a row. And they were taken aback when Diddy said that, no, I want my speedy trial. And he looks pretty cocky and arrogant. And
Mm.
I just have an inkling that if it's found not guilty, that people are worried what he's going to do after.
Well, this is the thing, he when you level of the money that you have and you can get off. Look at OJ Simpson got off for murdering someone. I mean, it's ridiculous. Plain sight. I mean, you can't really make this stuff up. And it's money holds the cards for your freedom, and
Yeah.
I think that's possibly what's going to happen with Diddy. He's got enough money to flood the gates of the legal system, and maybe he'll get a very light sentence, or you know he could get off. I don't know. I mean, it strikes me as insane that he can be released without any charge whatsoever. That would be insanity, and it would just show again the two-tiered judicial system as it is in most countries. You know. So, but we were talking about Meghan. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, no. But the thing is, though, with Megan, I mean, I was thinking a lot about that, and people are always upset. Why is this woman? I mean, they're partying, and I was talking to Auntie, and he goes, they're never with these children. Harry hadn't seen the kids for 82 days when he showed up in Montecito.
Mm,
Weren't they talking that fatherhood and motherhood is the most thing? And yet Harry's in Africa, and all the scandal with Africa people again on the headlines.
mm,
The Baka people that of the lady who's lost a child and everything because it was just horrible. What just happened? It's all over the news. And Prince Harry's getting allegedly 20% cut for for example, of the funds that he raised for African parks because we know he went to raise funds for African parks in New York. That's what's one of the dinner things that he did. And he gets a percentage of whatever he does, whatever fundraising amount allegedly he gets. That's a huge. If he
it,
raises 10 million,
mm.
that's 2
Well, this,
million
this
bucks.
is this is why a lot of these celebrities are involved in charities, because it benefits them. I don't really believe for a second they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart.
No, Harry
And
either
they
gets
hold a
paid
lot of charity
directly or
events.
gets a percentage because Harry now
Yeah.
does it. It's just like Meghan Markle. I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this.
Yes. Yes, they want, and this is even charity organisations. We know that, and there was an investigation here in the UK about a very big corporate charities. I won't name them, and the directors or the CEOs were in Lamborghinis. They were profiteering off of the more, not just getting a wage, which I'm quite happy for anyone to get a wage of, but they were extorting the system. And
Yeah.
so therefore they were making millions out of a charity organization. And there is something very unsettling and unnerving about that, because that's not what it's there for. You're meant to be putting that money towards the organization that you've set up for. So that there is a level of that everywhere, and we know that the charities, they have a tax break and they have all these loopholes, and this is why people
Well,
set them up in the first place.
you know what I learned with Pina, and I did a live with Pina. Um, and she has a U.S. charity, right? She for school, like for kids to educate children. And then she mentioned, because we were talking, I didn't know this, and we were talking, and then she says like, because I said, I'm surprised they don't do any fundraising. You never hear, because Pidina does fundraising, right? She does fundraiser and stuff like that. And we were talking, how come they never, they have still haven't disclosed the 6 million. They haven't, they're by the way, Archwell is still delinquent. They
Yes,
haven't handed the
I was
documents
going to ask you
from
about that.
2020. They are delinquent. For people to
Mm.
say they haven't asked for an extension, they were supposed to have submitted the 2023 tax documents report on May 15th, 2024. They didn't do it. They're still delinquent. They handed the 2022. They haven't handed the 2023. We're about to end 2024, and they're still delinquent. Just because that corrupt governor of California came and said, oh, they're not. They are. Okay. They haven't applied for an extension. Excuse me. So with Pinaina, and you know what she said? I didn't know this. The reason for that is because you need a license in order to fundraise. And that when you do fundraise, every cent you fundraise has to be spent on what you were fundraising for. Whereas right now, and you need to meet a bunch of requirements, and you need to have like proper offices, you need to have like proper staff approach, you need to have somebody who's independent to be a fundraiser. I mean, all kinds of things. And Megan wouldn't have passed. We know that she's having an issue with Arrow. She can't even get that because she refuses to change the name because already she's been told that American Riviera Orchard is the American Riviera part. That's a no go, So, but she doesn't want to change it. So Meghan Markle is she would have never passed the requirements most likely, but also because as it stands right now, their charity, the Archwell, they only need to give 5% of whatever they get to charity. They can keep the other 95%. Whereas if you
No, that's
yes,
outrageous. Absolutely
yes,
outrageous. Not
you're
know that.
allowed to only give 5%. You're not allowed to, you have to give at least 5% out.
So they basically
Basically what they've done.
they give the bare minimum
Yes.
to the charity organization.
If you think
That's
about it,
incredible.
Victoria, is because you see when they got 13 million, remember
Mm,
that first year they got $13 million?
mm,
Okay. They were left with 8.9 million left in the bank, right?
mm,
And that
mm,
you have to take the expenses because they're paying like a lot of
mm,
salaries, and Meghan
mm.
Markle's claiming every expense under the sun. The expenses were like 2 million, and what they donated was like 1 million. They are literally donating the bare minimum.
And what is going on with their Netflix shows? Because I did hear that they are now going to pull away from that. What is the situation with that? Oh, sorry, let me just introduce you to Cassie. She's just joined us. She joined me for a couple of podcasts. And she's a survivor of poisoning and abuse, basically. It's a great lady. This is Paula, my lovely
Hi,
friend
hi,
Paula.
Cassie. Hi, Cassie.
So what's going to be happening with Netflix? Is that going to be continuing or has that been pulled?
No, right now they only have 5 episodes. That's it. They have 5 episodes of this polo crap. And Auntie and I were laughing because Auntie said that the reason why, that they're not executive producers. They executive produced with a D, but they're not executive producers, which is executive producers are people who really hold the power because they get the financing, they get to tell you what to do, what not to do. But they executive produced with a D at the end. And because they don't have any control, they don't have any money. And I said to Auntie, why? Please go watch. My episode of Auntie was yesterday that I posted it. And I said to Auntie, why did they need to partner with that different? Because I didn't know that they had partner with an independent company, right? Because if Netflix is doing this for them and everything, why do they need to partner? It says because they partner with a company that has experience on reality shows. Because if you go up to anybody and they say, Meghan Markle and Harry are doing it, okay, that's great, but what experience do they have? So whereas if they come with this company that has experience doing reality shows, but he said that the reason why it was going to stink is because they didn't go low enough. like Like if you're gonna make a reality, you're gonna make it like Selling Sunset, something like really cheesy. He said like they kind of got stuck in the middle because Meghan Markle was pushing back that she wanted everything to be classy. Harry was removed from most of the footage because he was that bad, and Meghan as well.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. They decided the producers, the executive producers, decided that Harry was that bad that even as cheesy as the thing is, it would make more harm than good because the problem that Harry and Meghan have is that they want all these filters. You notice that
Yeah.
when I swear to you, look at even at the CBS, look at the CBS. Look when the camera goes to Jane Pauley, doesn't have as many filters. You are able to do a screenshot, and Jane Pauley comes across, you can very define. If when they aim it at Harry and Meghan Markle, it's very blurry because they put all these filters. Meghan Markle tries to look as wrinkle free as possible, and it's got that beige color look. I kid you not, because when the camera goes to Jane Pauley, it's completely different. It's regular colors and everything, right? When it goes to Harry and Meghan, it's completely filtered. It's the same thing with that message to Colombia. They have so many filters. Harry trying to look like he has a lot of hair, and no wrinkles. Meghan trying to look like she doesn't have any wrinkles. So they can't keep, because the whole point of it has a look. If you look at the reality thing, it has a look, and it's very high def in many cases.
Well, it's because the Kardashians do the same thing. You have different angles, and they almost have like a film across their face because it is a completely different look in paparazzi photos, which is fine, and that's they actually sell beauty. I mean, their whole
No,
thing
no,
and
but
their whole
even the
marketing
Kardashians,
is
yeah. But even
beauty
when
and
you're watching the
perfection.
Kardashians, when you're watching the Kardashians reality show, you can still take a screenshot and it still looks pretty clear. They have certain filters, but not as much. What they do is they do touch ups here, and they do mostly in their pictures. But in the reality show, you can actually, it's semi high def, but they do very good use of lighting. They have lighting everywhere. But with Megan, it's filter after filter. You try to take a picture of her on, even in Colombia. In Colombia, that was a nightmare. Look at Colombia pictures or Colombian footage when they're sitting down and Harry's hugging that other woman. I mean, it's hard to get a picture. If you try to take a still picture, they always look blurry because of how many photos. Like you put filters to look like this, to smooth the smooth filter, it's too heavy. So your features, they kind of disappear.
So they're cutting the Netflix show because of her demands,
And also,
basically.
yeah, her demands, yeah. But no,
Yeah.
Auntie was saying that the show's gonna suck. The 5 episodes are gonna suck, and they're not gonna be
So,
renewed.
oh, I see. So it's still going ahead because I read somewhere that it was
No,
no
no, it's
longer
going
going
ahead. It's
ahead.
going ahead. It's been announced. The one that's gonna be canceled most likely is Megan's, because it's basically the polo thing is what they're saying is the proof of fire. Like they're gonna see how it does, right? But they had to remove Meghan and Harry a lot from the thing because they were just not that good. And then you have the cooking show. And remember that movie, Meet Me at the Lake? What happened to that?
Yes. What did happen to that movie?
Nothing. Of course, nothing. Everything is like that. But anyways, I'm gonna get going. Cassie, it
You've
was
got to
nice
go,
meeting
haven't you?
you.
Yeah,
It was
you
nice
can
to meet you
catch
too.
up another time. We'll do it.
I
We'll
am
do
so
a
sorry you
Sure.
proper
didn't get
live
to speak.
together.
I'm so sorry,
That's
Cassie.
right.
Oh
No
no, no,
worries.
no.
It was great catching up with you. Okay,
No, no,
Paula.
no,
See
but
you.
we'll
And I'll
see
see
you
you next
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah,
Yeah, you're coming to my
on
channel.
yours. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
I
thank you
can't
very much.
wait.
I'm
Thank you very
sorry,
much.
Cassie, and I'm glad you're doing well now, sweetie.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
darling.
Bye bye.
See you later. Bye, bye, bye. Hello, Cassie. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are
Sorry
you
about
today?
that. I just
No worries.
I haven't spoken to Paula in ages. I had to get a
No,
letter.
I
Have her say. It's great to hear her
yeah.
perspective. Don't quite agree with some of the Diddy stuff,
I
but that's what makes a good
right. I
conversation. I like that.
I'd actually love to talk about a few of the things that I
Yeah, go
heard
for it.
that
Go for it.
collectively are just really damaging. So, if anyone's listening and doesn't know, I am also can I say the word of the survivor
You can say the
playing?
abbreviation if that's okay.
I am a
Can you do
survivor of
that?
playing in
Yeah,
traffic.
yeah. Go for it.
Um,
That's it.
TD Jakes actually lived down the street from me when during part of the time that it was happening. So one of the things that I kept hearing that I thought, my God, collectively, at least in the United States, it is such a shame that our legal system is set up like this. Like, can I just suggest that we normalize the idea of an unreliable witness in situations like this?
Yes,
Oh, I'm so sorry. My
that's okay.
alarm went off. Because when you have survived things as atrocious as what allegedly are happening at these parties, I don't care who you are more likely to be lying if you are collected. If you if you're not having emotional and physical reactions to things. But that was just one piece of it. Like, there was a lot of time calling witnesses unreliable. But here's the thing, overall with the legal system, I think it's really sad that we live in this society that we spend so much time worrying about maybe we're going to say one thing, or someone's going to accuse someone of one thing that maybe wasn't completely true. When you have this happening, I mean, it's pretty obvious that allegedly this is happening. You hear the lived experiences of survivors saying what they're saying, which is that this is happening. Yet we're spending so much time focusing on, well, their story is not completely accurate, this or that. We're focusing on how to protect Diddy. We're focusing on how to protect him from being wrongly accused of what he is allegedly, very obviously doing. What we hear is people who survived it telling the stories. We've seen the medical records of people, but because it doesn't line up just right, we spend all this time protecting Diddy, because God forbid we question an adult who's probably doing something, but we just let a child sit there and suffer. And I hate that narrative. And it is actually part of my personal mission to change that. So I needed to talk about that. And
Yeah.
also, the idea that Diddy has no power is reckless. To say that out loud is reckless to me, because, and I'm not coming for the guest or anything, this is just like a collective thing that I get heard said. I think Diddy is a sacrifice. I think Diddy is just this is who we're going to give it up, because I'm sure that there are people above him. But to say that he has no power, like, I saw things with doctors in West Virginia with a fraction of that money make literal people disappear.
Mm.
Diddy is not powerless. Diddy is a
No.
sacrifice, but he is not
He,
powerless.
to an extent, he has lost a lot of his power because of the
Sure,
situation that he's in, but
sure.
he still has the facility to pay off certain people to manipulate or to corrupt or to do harm to somebody. So I think we've still got to remember that's his level of power, is
Right,
how much money he can throw at scenarios and things can disappear or go away. And that will continue until he is either charged or even on his release. How will his lifestyle navigate? Will it go back to how it was before, or will
right.
he lose all of his endorsements? Will he lose all of his connections? Will people stay away from him? It's interesting to know the level of power that he did hold, and
Mhm,
I do believe a lot of it has diminished, but there is still
sure.
a significant amount there. I mean, he's more powerful than you and I, for example.
Anyone
Um,
with that amount of money
yes.
equals power in the way that our world's set up. I'm
Mm,
saying that as a neutral thing, neither good nor bad, but money
mm,
equals power. Money gives you the ability to make things disappear.
yeah, yeah. And I think he's known for his demeanor as being quite aggressive, quite a scary individual. So I do think that going up against Diddy would almost give you nightmares
Yeah,
at this point, depending on what's going on
yeah,
behind the scenes and what type of evidence they do have. I feel like we haven't really got the whole picture as of yet, and I think
sure.
that's going to kind of come out in the next few weeks,
Do,
and then
do you
and
know
then we'll
where
get a clearer insight to what's going on.
Do you know where I saw a similar dynamic happen of people being afraid to touch the proverbial thing? This case, it's Diddy, was when I was in the Mormon trafficking shelter,
Mm,
and I had everything happen. I believe that they were actually doing that thing out of the shelter. But the thing that I kept running across, I had actual, like, a good case that could have been tried. Everyone I reached out to, they went to the biggest college that is Mormon run there, or any attorney was directly connected. And it's like Utah as a state is just locked down. If you have any problems and it happens to be with wealthy people or the Mormon church, you don't have any options. And it's a similar dynamic. Everyone is afraid because, again, money
We,
equals power.
and you're going up more against an institution than you are an actual person sometimes, because
Yeah.
there are levels of safety nets within the industry, and the
Mhm.
same with the Mormon church. There's safety nets, there's procedures and things put in place to stop things from leaking, and to keep people within the institution uh, out of harm.
Mhm.
And so I do believe that sometimes what we're doing is really chipping away at the outside. We're not
Mhm.
really getting to the core problem. And it is like I've always said, we need to sort of deconstruct Hollywood and start it all over again, because it's become a very toxic place. And it's become acceptable for certain behaviours to go ahead, without being questioned, because
Yeah,
of the level of fame and money that they have. Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Something that predators are really good at, and I don't care what predator you look at, where in the world, on what side of the political aisle, any of those things. Something that predators are fantastic at is the long game. They are fantastic at the pause, which if you've survived trauma, that takes time to be able to pause and to stop and to understand that this thing that I'm doing today will not have an immediate implication or an immediate, you won't see the results. There's no instant gratification. But people
Mm,
who are predators are willing to plant the seed and step back. And so, we've been seeing this happening in Hollywood for generations. It's
mm.
been growing. And like, I feel as if there's something, like you said, we're just chipping away at the outside. I think that there's a lot more evil than we can even see. A lot more.
Yeah. No, you're right. And obviously these predators don't have any empathy either, so they don't have any regrets if they've gone through doing what they've been doing for years without regretting or having any reflection on it. So
Hmm.
he doesn't feel any way about it. In fact, he probably believes he is not guilty of anything.
Hmm.
In his own head, he really believes he's done nothing wrong, and that's been shown with the video with his children, the propaganda that was put out saying he was a good dad, and he's trying to convey that he's a family man, when we all know that his own sons were involved in the drugging of guests as well. Which
Hmm.
is, he's raised them to be just like himself, which is very sad. But they don't know any different, I suppose.
The drugging is also an interesting, because that happened with me too, because I was played in traffic with doctors. And so a lot of the time when I didn't have memories, I thought it was all dissociative amnesia, when that started to clear up. But there was an amount that was because of drugs and things like that. And so when we're framing witnesses as unreliable, I just think it's an unrealistic expectation. And I'm not attacking the guest, the Paul, or anything like that. It's something that I hear said all the time that I just needed to be able to address, because what do we expect from people who have literally just been through hell over and over and over and over and over and over again?
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I think with anybody that's gone through that situation, that they deal with it completely differently. I
Hmm.
actually have been editing a book recently, which is a survivor of SA, and she actually speaks in quite a jovial manner, and it's a weird one for me, because it's almost like she's masking her pain through humor, and I feel like that doesn't I can't quite understand it, but that's how some people deal
Hmm.
with their trauma. There's different avenues that you take, and
Hmm.
how you learn to kind of manage it. So that was a shocker for me, because it's quite a high case as well, but I can't reveal it yet.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's very interesting, and I've never seen a stance on it the way that I saw when I started to read this book and started to edit it. So it's very interesting to me.
You also see
Um,
those coping mechanisms change over time. I used to be someone who relied a lot on humor, like the dark humor. People are clutching their pearls when I speak. But it's as I've it changes for people. There's no, it's not linear, but that might change sometime. Like, I still talk with humor about the religious stuff with my playing in traffic because it was so bad. My brain can't let me access it. So it's like a form of bypassing because I can't process it yet. So yeah.
And what is your knowledge? I know I was going to quickly. We weren't meant to be talking about Diddy. It always ends up going to Diddy for some reason. We were meant to be doing a bit on Diddy, but I wanted to really cover the royal stuff. I mean, what is your kind of take on Meghan Markle and Harry's relationship from your point of view? Do you think it's a narcissist abusive relationship, or do you think it's something different?
Can I be completely transparent with you? So I don't know a whole lot about the royal family, but I will tell you that when Meghan and Harry came onto the scene several years ago, I remember I was still really sick. I was married. I remember thinking, oh, they're the good ones from an American's perspective. And, oh, they're these philanthropists. They're doing these good things. They broke from the family. But from kind of listening and listening to you and just observing, I think that they're both communal narcissists. I think that they learned to package it differently. Like, you see, for example, but the fact that they broke from the family, you think of black sheeps and like narcissistic relationships. They're typically the ones that break from the family, don't have anything else to do with it. That's where my mind went. I thought, oh, they removed themselves from a toxic situation. But I think that it's an example of, like, as we educate one another about the red flags and things like that, we're also educating predators, and they get smarter and they learn the behaviors and what to do to look like a victim instead of a predator. And so I think that, yeah, they are, I've seen this happen with wealthy people, with people with nothing who claim to be like anti-establishment. People will package anything to hide what they're doing. They align themselves with certain perceived moralities. They hide behind that so that they can do whatever the heck they want to do. And I think that's a lot of what's happening personally.
I think with before we go into the Meghan part, just quickly, Jennifer wants to know what your name is. I think I did introduce you, but if I didn't, I do apologise. Just want to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're doing on the internet at the moment and what you're just a little quick background drop of what you're doing.
Yes, and thank you for responding in the comments, Nikki. Yeah, my name's Cassie or Cassandra. I am a survivor of playing in traffic. Sorry, you have to keep saying it like that. Playing in traffic. As a child, my father sold my sister and I to rich doctors. It ended up with people passing, all of that. And then that set the stage because of the memory loss and everything, and just not understanding what trauma was, or that I had experienced it, set the stage for me to marry someone who 30 years later almost ended my life the same way my dad had ended my mom's life. And so, that's kind of what we see with that extreme abuse as a child. People end up in situations like that again. And so right now on the internet, I am trying to provide people with tools to heal through things like this. I'm also using my voice and my story to raise awareness because these things are still happening to kids, unfortunately. And yeah, that's generally what I'm doing, promoting healing and education.
Thank you very much. That was beautifully put. Well done. So I found Cassie actually on Instagram, which was great. And I was like, wow, I love your story, love your stuff. And I just thought we did a podcast not too long ago. And I find Cassie's very articulate and she's really good at deconstructing, emotional problems. And just she has a great way of kind of making sense of things. So I just thought, right, great. You've got to come on alive. You'll love it. So she's done one with me before. And I'm going to put, Elsie, the links in the description box. Don't worry. She's going to send them over and I'm going to put that in again. I've actually got them already on YouTube, but I'll pop them on. But yeah, she does TikTok, Instagram, and she's got her own podcast as well, which is great. And so going back to Meghan, so I heard that Harry wants to kind of have sit down talks with the royals, kind of start bridging that gap that they have, because he was meant to actually add more information about juicy gossip as you would into his book Spare. because in his hardback he was meant to add some more information, some more stories, and he actually decided not to. And I think this is part of him trying to repair the damage that's happened, and maybe he's having doubts about, you know, this rift that he's caused. But the sit down talks that he wants to have, Meghan will not allow him to go there on his own and have a discussion. She has to be present. And this is the level of control that we're witnessing here, because this means she can, things can't be said. You know, when she's there, I think that the royals will have their backup, and it won't be an open and honest conversation that Harry and the royals would have liked to have had, because she is controlling the relationship between him and his family. And I think the honeymoon period is wearing off. We're starting to really see the devastation that it's left behind, because some things you do and say you can't really take back. And is Harry now regretting what he has done to his family? That is the question.
You know, I know that when I was experiencing an abusive marriage myself, I did things that were uncharacteristic of me. So uncharacteristic. I let things slide. I did things. I said things. I treated people differently than I would. And that's just kind of, it comes with it. It's not an excuse. I hold myself accountable for what the pieces that I played, even though it wasn't my fault. But I could totally see that, especially with that level of control. Control tells you, like, that hovering, that not allowing someone to be an autonomous human being is probably one of the biggest red flags, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do believe that. I mean, now they're going their separate ways with work ventures as well. There's an obvious divide within their ideology. There's a divide in what they both want from Hollywood. She certainly wants to be climbing the ladder to the very top with the Hollywood stardom. Him not so much, because he's always been in the limelight, and I think he knows that it's not as probably great as what she expects it to be, and he's done it in a different way, you know. What can they bring to the table but continue to act like royals? There is really no other option. Yeah, their cooking show, their polo show, it's interesting that it's not really of any kind of relevance, or kind of has a real strong backbone to it. So all of this kind of dipping their fingers in different situations, yes, it's they're trying to find their feet, but are they always just going to go back to being doing fake royal tours?
Yeah.
You know,
do you think that there's any other motivation between him wanting to have these conversations with his family, or do you think it's just seeing the destruction that's left behind?
Sorry, repeat that again. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Now, do you think that there is any other motivation between Harry? Do you think he's just trying to mitigate the destruction that was caused, that's, kind of left from the tower moment that is Meghan, or do you think that there was something else also?
I don't know. I think he threw his toys out the pram, and sorry, and I feel like it once he started it was very difficult for him to stop. It was almost like that they were on a roll together to just destroy their chances of going back. And I think burning your bridges with any of your family, when there isn't a real cause for it, it's going to have catastrophic consequences, isn't it? And I don't know if they'll ever if they did divorce, which I think people are talking about, and they're saying it's on the cards, then how is he going to go back into the fold again the way he was before? Is that even possible? I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's a place for him still?
I don't know how you could return. I don't know how you couldn't return to normalcy, whatever normal is in that. I don't think, after all of that. But if there's actual love there from the family, if that was a relationship that didn't need to be severed. And I get caught up on that a lot too, because I as a survivor of of a lot of abuse, when I see people pull away from their families, I typically don't question it, because I understand, like, I get it, and I know the kind of pushback that people get when they need to pull away from their families for whatever reason. And so I get caught on that a lot, because I'm like, oh, I see that wound. I get it. But again, you have people kind of cosplaying as victims instead of the predators that they are. Um, I don't know how you could return to any sort of normalcy, but if there is genuine love and the royal family is willing to accept accept him back, I think there could be a genuine nurturing relationship there. I don't know as far as like a place on the royal, whatever, but
Yeah, on the right. Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, it might take quite a while to repair the damage that's been
sure.
done. I mean, also, I mean, Meghan is having issues with getting her brand off the ground. So her jam brand and her American Riviera Orchard can't produce a trademark because of some issues with the filing. So she's only got 3 months to address the errors in the application from August. And now she's also asked for another additional 3 months to correct the error in the filing. And if the deadline's missed, she'll have to start her application again. And she's basically filed earlier this year and it was not signed as she didn't send enough money. So she didn't send them enough money for the trademark. I mean, it's unbelievable considering they're millionaires. I just find it remarkable
That's what
that
I
she
was thinking.
didn't do that.
When you're talking about like social services and things like that, they often make that really difficult. Like, you're going to forget something, like it's purposely made. But when you have that much money, it's not that hard to get the things done. So I don't understand.
Well, apparently as well, somebody else has trademarked Royal Riviera, which has challenged her plea for her trademark.
Mm.
So she's come up against a few different niggles and snags, but I don't really feel like she's put much of an effort into her brand. She had an idea, she ran with it, and she's kind of thought, actually, this is a lot of work. I can't be bothered, and left it alone. That's what I feel like. She's looked at her website and gone, I don't think I
Never
can be bothered
mind.
to do all this. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So she's got 3 more months to set things right when her lawyers have been already working on it. So we're just going to wait and see if that lifestyle brand's still going to take off. And how much effort she's going to put into it. So it's interesting that everything's sort of been on hold for them. And I know you're not really a royalist. And this is kind of
That's okay.
I've just put this up today because I haven't done
Yeah.
a Meghan live in a while. But there is a lot more that I wanted to share with you guys. But I think we'll do it in another live. Going back to the Diddy stuff. I wanted you to just explain to the viewers about your comparison with that of the pneumonia poisoning, the Brittany Murphy case, because we went over this last night. Would you be comfortable doing that?
Yeah, and I'll actually share more information than I usually do, because it's kind of public information anyway. I typically don't talk about the compound that was used on me, because I have shared that information before and it has been used to harm others. But again, this is Google. You can Google this information. So my ex-wife, again, talking about the long game, I met her in 2001 when I was a freshman in college. We did not get together. I did not even like her until 2011. So 10 years later, my sister had $1 million in the bank. My sister was older than me. She was completely, profoundly disabled intellectually and developmentally. She relied on people for her every need. I didn't know that the $1 million in the bank was actually from playing in traffic. It was presented as a birth injury. That was all a facade. Anyway, my ex-wife, I always talked about the $1 million because I did not care. I don't understand money that I would never, I projected my own morals onto someone else because I would never harm someone for any amount of money. But she played the long game. We got together in 2011, and all of a sudden I went from being extraordinarily healthy, in shape, able to carry 2 5-gallon jugs of water up 3 flights of stairs in a building that was built in the 1800s, to being in one of the largest hospital complexes in the entire world. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, but I was slowly dying. And so one of the things that kept happening was I kept getting pneumonia. And and they could not find any reason for it. They tested everything. They tested my sputum, which is like the stuff that you cough up. Sorry. Uh, they tested me for bacteria, viruses. They tested me for autoimmune disorders, everything they could think of, and they could not find a cause. So they finally, the last time I was hospitalized for almost a week, and it was very, very bad. There's so much fluid in every single lobe of my lungs that standing up, I was air starved. I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't make it. And the thing that I found out last night was that I thought I don't know what they're calling the compound typically in the news. There's like a name for the chemical like formation overall. But the thing that I heard last night was Brittany Murphy, before she mysteriously died of pneumonia. Brittany Murphy was paranoid that people were trying to poison her. She's being very careful about her food and her drinks. And her father apparently ordered an autopsy after her death. And the thing that came back were heavy metal toxins, specifically those found in rat poisoning, which is what my wife used on me and what my dad ended my mom's life with 30 years before. And there was
And
playing
it's
in
very
traffic.
significant, the link to that, because we know that you have exactly the same symptoms as the stars that are meant to have died of pneumonia. And I have actually read other sources and spoken to people, and apparently it was a poison that Brittany Murphy was digested, and it was over a period of time.
Yep.
And it was also, it was found in her hair.
Yep.
But both her husband and her died of pneumonia. And there was obviously the Uptown Records. I think two of them died of pneumonia, Kim Porter, and there was another dude, I've forgotten his name. And everybody is linked to Diddy because they were friends with Diddy through Ashton Kutcher, by the way, who has also got quite a bad reputation within the industry. So it's significant in the sense that we actually know someone now that has gone through the same thing, which is yourself.
Yeah.
And we can kind of add all these things up and make sense of what's been happening. I mean, when they tested your hair, what did it come up with?
They did not test my hair because my
Okay.
ex-wife, so I have a lot of medical knowledge. I worked in the medical field for a long time. And honestly, that was kind of like, thank you guys for all the kind words. That was honestly kind of to my detriment, all of my medical knowledge, because she used it against me. Looking back, I know. But I could read, all the orders and things that doctors were writing. And when I was sent to an oncologist, hematologist in one of the biggest hospital systems, I couldn't stand long enough to shower. I was so sick. I couldn't walk 350 feet without taking a breath, like sitting down. Sometimes I end up on the floor. I could not walk. And so she kept telling me that she had to order me a shower chair. She had to order me a shower chair because I couldn't do it right. And so finally, like, I have all these doctor's appointments for cancer. They're looking at cancer. They're looking at, blood disorders. I was also anemic, by the way. That was the other thing that coincides with the Diddy and the pneumonia. These people appear as anemic, just as a side note. But anyway, I realized that he was about to test my hair, and she convinced me to shave my head before my next appointment and convinced me it was my idea, because psychological torture, that's how it works. But yeah, so they didn't test it. I think that it stays in your hair forever. Like, I think it wouldn't prove that she did it, but you could see that it was in there. However, poverty, because 99% of DV includes financial abuse. So I haven't had the money to pursue that, or insurance, or stability of any kind.
It's interesting. I think a lot of chemicals do stay in the system, and I was reading somewhere that even cocaine was found in brain tissue of prolific users. It doesn't just
Right.
go in and out of the system like you think it would. It actually does stay there. So if you analyze certain tissues, that you're going to find certain drugs within them tissues. So everything has a blueprint, or like not a blueprint, like a kind of a story or a map to it, or an imprint. That's what the word I was looking for. And it doesn't disappear. So nothing can be hidden. And you wonder, these toxology reports, are they actually carrying them out correctly?
Again, money can make anything disappear.
Exactly. And it's the same as lip filler. So yes, so you're right as well. So the lip filler or any filler, they're learning now, or they probably knew, it doesn't dissolve in your face after the months and months that you think it does. It actually can stay there for a very, very long time, and there is no medical evidence as to what will happen or what it does to your body. Bit
Ooh.
like vaping as well, another
Mm.
problem. We don't know the outcome of that, what that's going to do to people in the future. It's all kind of new stuff, isn't it? But
Yeah.
anyway, we're going to wrap this up for tonight, Cassie. We're going to come back on Wednesday. We'll do a
Yep.
live on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And guys, I've just finished. Well, I finished writing a book. It's called Live by the Gun by Dave Gunn. Me and Dave
So
wrote it
excited.
together. Thank you very much. And it is now out and it's on Amazon. I'm officially an author, which is very exciting. But I am going to have him on a podcast. So I'm going to do a podcast on. We're going to pre-record, and it'll be released within the next week. And it's just about his life, his story. He was a gangster from Nottingham, very well known. And it's just about his life, his crazy life. It's very good. It's very interesting.
I'm
He's been
proud
on
of
a
you.
few- Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been a great journey. I've done a few more before that, but I'm a ghost wrote them.
Yeah.
But this one I've got my name on, which is great.
Awesome.
And we're gonna do another tarot reading on Thursday. If you guys want to join for another tarot,
I
for a
forgot
free tarot reading, yeah.
Yes, I forgot about the one last week.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Yeah, it was a bit fast paced, so we might slow it down a little bit. But if you guys want a free tarot, just come back on Thursday. Thank you so much for coming in the side chat, guys. I really appreciate you all joining me. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate all of you. You know, I love you guys. Thank you for joining me and being patient with me coming back, because I know I've been missing for a while. But yeah, thank you so much, Cassie. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll put all Cassie's links in the description box.
Nice to see
Okay,
you, Brittany.
guys. All right, lots of love. Take care. Bye. Bye.